I'm sorry. I'm a bit upset myself.
You look just like your photograph.
You're one of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen.
Thank you. But I think my mouth is too big.
No, it's the right size. For me, that is.
From Russia with Love is a 1963 spy film that is the second movie in the James Bond film series and a sequel to the 1962 hit Dr. No. After the death of criminal agent Dr. No in Jamaica, his international criminal organization Spectre seeks revenge against British MI6 agent James Bond, played by Sean Connery.
Come in, Univex. James Bond here. Over.
He's been asking for you all morning. Where in the world are you, James?
Well, I've just been reviewing an old case.
Oh, so I'm an old case now, am I?
Shh, it's the office.
Rosa Klebb, played by Lotte Lenya, is a Soviet colonel turned Spectre operative who plans on having Bond lured into a trap. They're going to make him think he is to retrieve a Soviet encryption device that was stolen by Spectre. Klebb recruits a naive Russian clerk named Tatiana Romanova, played by Daniela Bianchi, to help with the plan. Romanova believes Klebb is still working for the Russians and doesn't realize that she's helping to assist Spectre in their plans to eliminate James Bond.
Now, these are your instructions. You report to me here.
Yes.
But the consulate security man must not know that I'm in Istanbul. This is classified far above his level.
I will say nothing to anyone.
If you do, you will be shot. Come, my dear. You are very fortunate to have been chosen for such a simple, delightful duty. A real labor of love.
Klebb also recruits a trained killer named Donald Grant, played by Robert Shaw. His mission? To eliminate James Bond.
Call him.
Grant!
He seems fit enough. Have him report to me in Istanbul in 24 hours.
In London, England, Bond is informed by M, the head of MI6, played by Bernard Lee, that Romanova has offered to provide British intelligence the Soviet device in exchange for help defecting to the West. While M suspects it is a trap, he still honors her request. Q, played by Desmond Llewellyn, gives Bond a special attaché case with several gadgets, including an AR-7 sniper rifle.
An ordinary tin of talcum powder. Inside, a tear gas cartridge. That goes in the case against the side here like that. It's magnetized so it won't fall. Shut the case. Now, normally to open a case like that, you move the catches to the side. If you do, the cartridge will explode in your face. Now, to stop the cartridge exploding, turn the catches horizontally, like that. Then, open normally. Now you try it.
Turn the catches like that.
That's right.
And open ordinarily.
You got it?
Yes, I think so.
Is that all, sir?
Yes, thanks very much.
Right. Joe?
Yeah, it's a nasty little Christmas present. But I shouldn't think I need it on this assignment, sir.
All the same, take it with you. Good luck, 007.
Thank you, sir.
In Istanbul, Turkey, Bond and Romanova meet and he quickly beds her, and the two agree to help each other. They board the Orient Express, with Grant not far behind. Bond eventually catches on that Tatiana is not being completely honest about her motives.
I want the truth.
James, you're hurting
I'll
me.
do worse than that if you don't tell me. You're doing this under orders, I know. What are they?
I don't know what you mean.
Liar.
Even if you kill me, I can say nothing.
Go on.
Oh, no.
Tanya, maybe they didn't let you in on all of it, but whatever you do know, tell me.
I know I love you, James. I love you.
Just tell me.
Eventually, Grant confronts Bond, and the two battle to the death. This was the final James Bond movie released during Ian Fleming's lifetime. He was won over by Sean Connery as James Bond. Sean Connery called this movie his personal favorite of all of the James Bond films. Future James Bond actors Timothy Dalton and Daniel Craig also called this film their favorite James Bond movie. Director Terrence Young, who had directed the previous film Dr. No, disliked Daniela Bianchi's legs and decided to use a stand-in for the scene where James Bond spies on the Russian embassy in Istanbul with a periscope. Sean Connery was outfitted for this movie with 8 specially tailored Savile Row suits, each one costing $2,000. This movie marks the last appearance of Sylvia Trench, played by Eunice Gayson, who was also appearing in the 1962 film Dr. No. The original plan was for Sylvia Trench to appear in every James Bond movie as James Bond's regular girlfriend, continually frustrated when he has to be called away for his next assignment. Eventually they figured, why would Bond need a girlfriend when he is always working all around the world and banging so many other women? Lotte Lenya, who plays the villain Rosa Klebb, was married to Kurt Weill, who wrote the song Mac the Knife, hence why she's mentioned in the song. The knife shoe worn by Rosa Klebb was an actual weapon that had been used by the KGB. Rosa Klebb was the main inspiration for the character of Frau Farbissina, played by Mindy Sterling in the Austin Powers spy comedy film series in the late 1990s and early 2000s.
Release the meteor!
Release the meteor!
The fight scene in the train compartment between Sean Connery and Robert Shaw took 3 weeks to film. Robert Shaw said that he had to stand on a wooden crate when filming some scenes opposite Sean Connery because he was 4 inches shorter than Sean Connery was. Steven Spielberg was convinced to cast Robert Shaw in the 1975 movie Jaws after watching him act in this film. The scene in which James Bond and Tatiana Romanova first meet in the hotel suite has since been used as an audition scene for potential Bond actors and Bond girls. This is the first James Bond movie to feature John Barry as the primary composer. The film's theme song debuted on the UK charts on November 14, 1963, and went to number 20. In the United States, the soundtrack album charted on May 2, 1964, and went to number 27. From Russia with Love was released into movie theaters in the United Kingdom in October 1963 and opened in the United States May 27, 1964. The film grossed a worldwide total of $79 million on a budget of just $2 million, making it an extremely large box office success. This movie broke records at the box office, doubling Dr. No's gross, and this film was more responsible for continuing to launch Sean Connery into superstardom than Dr. No had ever been. From Russia with Love was the 5th highest grossing film in the United States in 1964. President John F. Kennedy listed Ian Fleming's book as among his top 10 favorite novels of all time. That list was published in Life magazine on March 17, 1961. Possibly as a result, the producers decided to make this the second James Bond film. President Kennedy screened From Russia with Love at the White House on October 23, 1963, with friend and journalist Ben Bradley, his brother and Attorney General Robert Kennedy, and his wife Ethel in attendance. Bradley later said that President Kennedy seemed to enjoy the cool and the sex and the brutality of the Bond film. From Russia with Love was one of the last movies John F. Kennedy ever saw. I saw this film as a young teen after checking the VHS tape out of a library. In the year 2023, I actually watched every single James Bond film in order to give myself a full perspective of the entire film series. I enjoyed From Russia with Love, and I always consider Sean Connery the ultimate James Bond. When you say James Bond, I think of Sean Connery, and I believe it will always be that way. However, I don't think that From Russia with Love is my favorite James Bond film. In fact, I know it's not. But it's certainly not my least favorite. The most memorable part of this movie for me is the train fight sequence between Sean Connery and Robert Shaw. It's excellent, and they were both wonderful actors. I will give a solid recommendation to the 1963 James Bond sequel, From Russia with Love.